Welcome to the English podcast.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we have a fascinating, almost philosophical stack of sources from you, the listener. And we're diving into a question that I think is both universal and at the same time deeply personal.
It might be the most important question anyone who's ambitious asks themselves, probably daily.
I think so.
Hmm.
So our source material today centers on a conceptual document. It's titled The Discipline of Time Mastery. And within those, powerful words, there's really one core challenge we're here to unpack.
How to stop wasting time.
That's it.
It sounds so simple, right? But the answer, well, it requires a pretty fundamental change. Our mission here isn't to guess at tools or apps because the source didn't give us any, but to really analyze the foundational shift that has to happen before any real mastery can even begin.
Well, looking for the prerequisites. It's like the source acknowledges something vital. That this desire for efficiency, it isn't just about cramming more tasks into a day. It's about minimizing that internal friction, that guilt that comes from feeling like you don't own your most finite resource.
Yeah, when you're seeking mastery, you're looking for a kind of liberation. It's not just about a better schedule.
Right.
And that liberation, that first step, it's defining the enemy. Before you can have any discipline, you have to grapple with the core tension in that question. You have to define what wasted time actually is for you.
Because if you can't articulate that negative space, you can't proactively fill it with something valuable.
You can't.
And this is where, for me, the title itself, The Discipline of Time Mastery, gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
Because it suggests the answer to stopping waste isn't some quick fix, a life hack.
Right.
It elevates the whole conversation past time management, which sounds, administrative.
Or time hacking, which sounds like you're just looking for a loophole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're talking about mastery.
And that's a word we reserve for, a profound skill. Deep, internalized control. It tells you right away this requires a proactive shift in perspective. You have to go from being a passive time consumer to an active time architect.
So if we're working inside that framework, the first step to stopping waste isn't a new app. It's taking on this rigorous practice of discipline. So let's unpack that word. What is the discipline here?
I think you can break the discipline down into maybe 3 parts. It starts with what I'd call the discipline of definition.
Definition.
Yeah. This is the internal work, the rigor required to define your own values, your ultimate life priorities, the things that truly matter to you.
So under that framework, time waste is just anything not aligned with those things.
That's it. Simple as that.
But hold on, doesn't that sound exhausting?
Yeah.
I mean, the discipline of definition sounds a bit like extreme self-surveillance. Does mastery really mean we have to monitor every 5-minute gap?
That's an essential distinction. The discipline isn't the moment-to-moment monitoring. It's about establishing the rule book ahead of time.
Okay, I see.
If you wait until 3 p.m. to decide if checking social media is a waste, you've already lost. The discipline is pre-classifying that activity. For a master, that decision is already made. It saves all that cognitive energy.
So you're moving the measurement away from the clock and toward personal intent. That must lead to the second part then.
It does. The discipline of auditing.
And the audit has to be ruthless, I'm guessing.
Absolutely ruthless. This is the moment you apply those definitions you just created. The challenge in the question, how to stop wasting time, is that it forces you to confront the true opportunity cost of every single decision.
Even the small ones.
Especially the small ones.
So, for instance, a lot of people might look at downtime, watching a show, reading a book that's not for work, and just label it waste.
Right. But the master has to audit that time against their actual goal. Is this true relaxation that's going to reset my brain for peak performance tomorrow? Or is this just me avoiding a high-value task?
So you classify waste not by the activity itself, but by its effect.
Its effect on future performance, exactly. Watching a documentary in your industry, that's high value. Scrolling a feed for 5 minutes between deep work, is that a necessary palate cleanser that makes you 30% more effective in the next hour?
Or is it just dragging your focus down?
The internal audit has to find the truth.
And that brings us to what might be the most insidious form of waste, at least in the professional world, and that's productive waste.
This is so critical. Time mastery means recognizing that waste isn't just procrastinating. You can be wasting time while you're working your tail off.
How so?
Productive waste is when you are executing a low value or even an obsolete task with incredible efficiency.
Well, I think we've all been there. You spend an hour perfecting the thoughts on a presentation.
Right.
A presentation that just needed a quick 5-minute review before getting shelved. You feel productive, you checked a box, but you just wasted an hour of your life.
That is the highest form of inefficiency. It gives you the illusion of progress, but it's masking the fact that you're working on the completely wrong priority.
And stopping that requires the third discipline.
The discipline of structure.
This sounds like where the practical side kicks in.
It is. If you really want to stop wasting time, you have to eliminate the constant need for willpower. The discipline of structure is about creating decision minimal environments.
Okay, say more about that. Decision minimal.
Every moment you spend debating if you should start a task or check an email or return a call, that debate itself is wasted time. It's wasted cognitive energy.
That makes so much sense. If I have to constantly use willpower to not check my phone, I'm draining the mental battery that I should be using for the actual work.
The structure should enforce your choices, not your momentary impulse control. The master structures their day so that high-value work is the path of least resistance. It's deeper than just making a schedule.
It's about building boundaries.
Boundaries, automated routines, isolating yourself from distractions, all before the workday even starts.
Okay, so let's pivot to that other key word here. Mastery. When you achieve mastery in something, say a musical instrument, it means you're not just following rules. You anticipate, you adapt. It's second nature. What does that look like for time?
Time mastery is about one thing, fundamentally: eliminating the friction between your intent and your action.
No more tug of war.
None. When your actions consistently reflect your highest values without that constant battle of willpower, you're getting close. The process should feel almost automated because the internal discipline is just that strong.
Which brings us back to cognitive load. In a state of mastery, you're not burning energy on micro decisions. It's all going toward creation, toward execution.
Exactly. And to get there, that discipline has to be so internalized that you almost learn to separate two fundamental roles within yourself.
Two roles. Okay, I'm interested.
Think of them as the evaluator and the executor.
Evaluator and the executor. Okay, so unpack that for us. How does separating those two help?
The evaluator is your internal auditor. This is the part of you that defines priorities, creates the structure, runs that ruthless audit we talked about. The evaluator is cold, rational, and operates outside the heat of the moment. They set the rules.
And the executor?
The executor is the part that sits down at the keyboard, faces the blank page, and does the work. And when you are operating under true mastery, the executor never, ever second guesses the evaluator. They just follow the structured environment the evaluator created for them.
That's a powerful model. Because most of us waste time when those two roles merge. When the executor, halfway through a really tough task, starts questioning the evaluator's priorities.
Is this really that important? Maybe I should just check that one email first.
Right. That's the internal negotiation.
That is the resistance that the discipline of time master is designed to neutralize. The greatest waste of time is that internal back and forth. When the rules are set by the calm, rational evaluator on a Sunday afternoon, the frazzled executor on Tuesday morning doesn't have the authority to change the plan.
This raises a really important, maybe counterintuitive point about this whole pursuit, which is, where does recovery fit in? Because pure optimization, it just sounds like a recipe for burnout.
It is a highway to burnout. And this is where the master really separates from the novice. For a person pursuing true mastery, necessary recovery, rest, incubation, it's not just allowed. It has to be explicitly classified as a high-value, non-negotiable activity.
So it flips the script. Wasting time isn't just avoiding work. It can actually be working past the point of diminishing returns.
Pushing ahead when you know you're mentally ineffective, that is a severe form of time waste. You're just eroding your future capacity.
You're borrowing from tomorrow with a very high interest rate.
Precisely. You waste an hour tonight being ineffective, you compromise your output for the next 3 days. The true master understands this. They know that sometimes the most disciplined, highest value choice is to enforce a period of complete non-work. The evaluator has to schedule that rest just as strictly as a board meeting.
And the challenge, again, is just maintaining that alignment. The minute we lose sight of our own definition of mastery, we just slip back into being reactive.
The external world is always trying to hijack your time. Always. If your source material talks about a discipline, it's because the primary internal battle is resisting that pull of external urgency and sticking to internal importance.
So this is an ongoing pursuit. The discipline of time mastery. It's not a one-time setup. The work of stopping waste.
Yeah.
It never really ends, does it?
It requires constant calibration. A task that was high value last quarter might be medium value now. The discipline is the commitment to regularly recalibrate your definition of waste and adjust your structure. Otherwise, you're just back to productive waste.
So we've established that the real answer to how to stop wasting time is this rigorous personal journey. It demands the separation of evaluator and executor, and it's backed by these 3 disciplines: definition, auditing, and structure. What does this all mean for you, the listener, right now?
I think we have to circle back to the core idea in that title. The discipline starts not with the to-do list, but with the explicit recognition that mastery is the goal. It demands a very high standard of self-governance.
And the key takeaway seems to be the personal nature of it all. The value of defining your own waste. You can't just borrow someone else's definition.
No, what one person calls waste, another person calls necessary creative incubation for their core business.
Right.
Your first step is a completely ruthless personal audit of where your time actually goes, judged against your highest priorities. You have to define your own purpose first. Only then can you identify the waste that needs to be disciplined away.
So let's leave you with this final thought, building on the source material's focus on stopping waste. If the goal is how to stop wasting time, then the real challenge, it isn't just identifying the wasteful activities. That's actually the easy part.
The true enduring challenge is defining what time is actually for once that waste is gone. What fills the void? And crucially, does that new activity, does it really serve the high standard definition of mastery you've set for yourself?
Go deeper on that question. Continue your own deep dive into what mastery truly means in the context of your time, your resources, and your life. We'll be here next time, ready to unpack the next essential concept.
Subscribe to learn English.